These mountains have been calling out to the adventurous for decades. Initially to be climbed, then to be skied. This is the tale of two mountains celebrating their part in answering the call of the wild and all the peaks and valleys that come with it. This year, Grouse Mountain celebrates 100 years of being a ski resort. Whistler is celebrating its 60th year. Here at the Roundhouse at the top of Whistler Mountain, a long list of folks who played an integral role in shaping the mountain as to what it is today have gathered to celebrate the achievements and milestones of the past 6 decades, and they're doing it in true Whistler fashion.
First jacket I ever bought when I was about 15 years old. But you know, I used to drive from West Vancouver and arrive here by 7 in the morning. If you arrived before 7, you got your lift ticket for $5 instead of $5.50.
We used to sleep in the garbage dump with our vans, and now it's the town center.
I got this out of the closet from Japan, and this was 26 years ago, and I still fit in it.
Whistler Blackcomb was my sponsor. That's where this comes from. Back in my competitive years, representing Canada.
A world-renowned ski hill with more than 200 runs and over 2,100 meters of vertical beauty that draws millions of visitors each year from all over the world. One of the people who have heard the mountains calling and is still heeding that call, Hugh Smythe.
There wasn't anything quite like it in British Columbia at that time.
A legend in these parts, he drove up from Vancouver to start work on Whistler Mountain on opening day.
I applied and they said, well, we have enough patrollers. And I said, well, I'll patrol for, room and board. And they said, well, that would be great, but we don't have any beds. So then I kept persisting, and I said, well, I'll sleep in the first aid room and move my gear out to the car every morning. And they said, okay.
Australian-born Belinda Trembath also felt the draw to the mountain from halfway across the world.
Whistler Blackcomb is it's an internationally renowned resort. It's actually a bit of a rite of passage for a lot of folks in Australia, New Zealand, Britain to come and do a season here.
Trembath's history with Whistler is a little shorter. She became the first female COO here at North America's largest ski resort in 2023.
Come on down. Maybe take number 11, boards facing inwards.
This town just oozes mountain culture, and that's what excites me every day.
Over the decades, the mountain's popularity has grown substantially, and the ability to get here has improved vastly, with treacherous one-lane roads from Vancouver replaced by safer and wider ones. The result, more skiers, which can make for long lineups on busy days. Yes. And if you're buying a last-minute pass on Whistler Blackcomb, expect to pay over $300 for a single-day ticket.
We've invested a huge amount of money in lift infrastructure over the last decade, and we put in new gondola on Blackcomb, new gondola on Creekside, a number of different lifts that are 6 and 8 seat lifts, and so that requires a lot of investment. So we want to make sure that we provide world-class experiences, and I think we offer a number of different ways for people to have an experience affordably on the mountain.
Here at Grouse Mountain, things are a little smaller in nature, standing at 1,200 meters with 33 runs. But what it lacks in size, it makes up for in location. Depending on the time of day, you could be in the middle of the city and on top of a mountain in about 30 minutes, which is what's been a huge draw for locals for the past 100 years.
Proximity to Vancouver and an urban center there's no other mountain in the world that has that.
On New Year's Eve, the mountain welcomed the most guests it's ever seen in its history as part of their centenary celebration.
Definitely, I would say 85% locals and our backyard community, throughout the Lower Mainland. In the summer, it's a little bit more balanced.
The hurdles Grouse faces, like Whistler, has to do with its popularity. On busy days, parking can be a challenge and lineups for the gondola can get long. Both things that Cameron says they are aware of and working on.
We had lots of lineups in the winter, skiing as everybody gets there at 8:30 in the morning. And, we had lineups on weekends and holiday times like today, of an hour and a half long to get up and the same to get down. Really, the Blue Grouse gondola has taken that away. So it's not about increasing capacity, it's actually about servicing our guests and servicing our guests better.
Today's challenges for Grouse and Whistler are very different from what skiers encountered when they first arrived on these mountains. When City News Connect returns, we'll look at the humble beginnings of Whistler and talk to the people who are influential in breaking down barriers. Hugh Smythe first arrived in Whistler when he was just 18 years old. It was 1966 and the very first season of the ski resort. An exciting and challenging new hill was the draw, which started with humble beginnings in Creekside.
Well, this was a logging community, so everything behind me that you see, those are trees that have grown up over the last 60 years. It was a clear cut. There was no trees at all.
But that didn't deter Hugh or the other locals who began frequenting the ski hill.
There was probably, I don't know, 300 skiers. Now a big day could be up to 30,000 skiers on both mountains. So it's changed significantly.
The mountain's growing popularity in its early days captured the provincial government's attention, who looked to capitalize on its success, with Whistler becoming Canada's first resort municipality in 1975.
Whistler was founded with a vision to be a tourism generator for the province.
When you're walking around Whistler Village, there's a lot to take in. Restaurants in every corner, dozens of hotels, endless shopping, the list goes on. The amazing part of all of it is what you see around me used to be a dump.
It was a gravel pit for the logging industry and the local garbage dump. You used to take anybody that you had up that was visiting, come and see the bears.
Well, when I was a little kid, this is where my granddad would bring me to watch bears eat garbage. It's a different time, but now we've really been able to realize a world-class village, like you say, where there was once a garbage dump.
Welcome to Whistler Resort.
Construction of Whistler Village was completed in 1980. Today, 20,000 people call Whistler home, up from the permanent population of a few hundred when it was first realized.
We generate billions of dollars in gross domestic product for the province of British Columbia, and the workers who live here get to participate in delivering something that they think is pretty special.
Blackcomb Mountain opened to the public the same year as the village. Smythe was instrumental in developing Blackcomb by convincing IntraWest, a Vancouver-based developer who had never been a part of the ski scene, to invest in the mountain, becoming its president with the goal of being better than Whistler.
It was friendly competition, but we were going at it hard, and we were the underdog. And so it was, every day was, okay, what can we do to make this better?
Eventually, they settled the friendly rivalry when Blackcomb and Whistler merged in 1997.
I really enjoyed the skiing. I was passionate about the skiing. And then that changed into being passionate about the business of skiing a number of years later. And as I said, I'm still here. I had a very blessed career.
Smythe's vision for the resort didn't stop at the merger. He then set his dreams on a gondola that would join the two mountains.
There was a lot of people that didn't think it was a great idea, and including some of my bosses.
I mean, that was an incredibly ambitious project, and I still think that the guys that were the driving force behind that, folks like Hugh Smythe, they were dreaming big, and it transformed the way that people ski these mountains. You don't need to choose one mountain for the day, you can ski both.
The record-breaking peak-to-peak gondola is the world's highest lift of its kind, 1,400 feet above the valley, opening in late 2008, just ahead of the Winter Games. Another standout moment.
For me, we were born with an Olympic dream, and we lived it in 2010, and that was unbelievable.
It was like the village was designed for holding, that event in the medal ceremonies in the evenings. There was people. It was like this international mosh pit of people. It was fantastic.
A dream that inspired athletes across the shared and unceded territories of the Squamish Nation and Lietwat Nation, which included Sandy Ward.
In 2005, I believe it was, I got a phone call from Aaron Marchant, who is the founder of the First Nation snowboard team. He asked me if I wanted to go to the Olympics as a snowboarder. So I was like, okay.
Her training took her pro, competing around the globe as a competitive half-pipe rider and eventually leading to a career as an instructor at Whistler Blackcomb.
Yes, Andy! I run the Liitwat Kwechola, which is our snowboard program here in Whistler, and we have 76 youth registered. So every Sunday we have 76 Liitwat kids ripping around the mountain, and it's really awesome to see.
Her work going far beyond winter, co-founding the Indigenous Women's Outdoor Program. She's leading folks into the backcountry to ski, hike, and bike in her traditional territory and breaking down barriers.
Having more Indigenous people on the mountain, it's like for the next generation to see you succeed and see you in these sports and in these spaces that traditionally we don't really see Indigenous people in. And when I was coming up as a snowboarder, there was nobody else. And so it was a really scary space for me.
However, she says it's different now with more representation on the ski hill. It's opened new and future opportunities for the nations who stewarded this land.
We used to have many villages in the valley here. We would hike up the mountains to forage and to hunt, and we trapped the marmot up the top of Whistler, where Whistler actually gets its name. We actually call it in Liitwat Huiktamat, which means Whistler.
It's a full circle moment for Sandy, connecting to the mountains her elders called home since time immemorial.
I've traveled all over the world, but as soon as I come into this valley, I feel like I'm at home. It's a sense in myself that it's a connection to our land.
60 is a proud moment for Whistler, but it's still a youngster compared to Grouse Mountain, who celebrates 100 this year. When City News Connect returns, we will learn how Grouse, known for its grueling grind, has always been making people sweat it out on the mountain.
Welcome to Vancouver, Canada's Pacific port. On this visit to British Columbia, we're taking you to one of the most spectacular views by day or night in North America.
For a whole century, Grouse Mountain has been serving locals skiing in the winter, hiking in the summer. It's famous for the grueling grouse grind, a 2.5-kilometer trail that is steep, challenging, and dubbed as Mother Nature's Stairmaster. But in the early 20th century, a group of mountaineers from Vancouver were setting the standard for the true grind, scaling the eastern slope of the mountain over the course of a few days just to hit a few turns on the slopes.
Prior to 1926, and people back then, they were adventuresome. They were passionate about the mountains. It was incredible. They hiked all the way from their homes in North Vancouver and even down in Vancouver and other parts of the Lower Mainland. That was a big piece of our history and our beginnings.
Yeah, I would say that the right word there is diehards.
Andrea Durno is the program director for the Grouse Mountain Tyee Ski Club, one of Canada's longest-running ski clubs, whose original members were lured up the hill with the promise of adventure.
Some used to transport bathtubs along with foods and beverage, cooking ware, stoves for their parties on the mountain during the weekend. So they were hauling everything up on the Saturday, have their party on Saturday night, and then rise up early for skiing on Sunday morning.
Things started to take on a more permanent role at Grouse with the opening of the first chalet in 1926.
I guess that's the first major milestone where the Background Mountain Highway was open just to limited vehicle traffic, and that was the year with our first chalet when that was open, and kind of that marks the 100-year history for us.
Accessibility on the mountain quickly evolved after that when Grouse made history by opening the world's first double chairlift in 1949.
We have lots of firsts, but that was momentous in terms of access to the mountain and how easy it was for people to get, and that was part of our growth.
With the easier access, the Tyee Ski Club was able to move their original A-frame cabin from the base of the mountain to the top where it sits today, still used by members as they strengthen the next generation of athletes.
We are first of all keeping alive the legacy of the first ski racers on Grouse, as well as developing, good people. Our mission actually is great people, great racers.
In the late 90s, another structure was added to the top of Grouse, a traditional Pacific Northwest longhouse.
Well, I like to joke with people that the reason why we never built longhouses on top of the mountain because it was too hard to park our canoes.
Inside the longhouse, William Nahahi runs a program for students and adults to share his Indigenous heritage with others.
For the little ones, I like to make it really fun and entertaining. And for the older ones, I like to make it educational because that's when I get to talk about truth and reconciliation, right?
He took on the educational role from his father and is carrying on the legacy of sharing the knowledge of the Squamish Nation.
To be able to share at large with the world about First Nations culture and what it can contribute to human beings as a whole, because as our elders' teachings are, we all have things to offer each other.
And the mountain continues to offer by looking ahead to the future. When we return, we'll look at what challenges both Grouse and Whistler are facing and how they're evolving to keep up with the times as Mother Nature heats up. At both Whistler, Blackcomb, and Grouse, snow sports are the main attractions for locals and tourists alike. But climate change is a looming factor that could impact the future for both these mountains.
Have you been up the mountain before?
It's a beautiful day here on Whistler, Blackcomb, and while we are well into winter and there's plenty of snow behind me on the mountain, the season was off to a slow start with skiers limited to certain runs due to unseasonably warm weather. And unfortunately for thrill seekers, according to new science, it's a trend that's likely to continue.
There is a signature of warming for most of the ski resorts in Western North America, and that many of them are going to be in trouble within a few decades.
Michael Pidwerney is an associate professor at UBC in the Okanagan. He's studying how climate change is affecting ski hills in Western North America. His recent research looking at Whistler. He's been examining the information from two weather stations provided by Environment Canada. One is in Whistler Village, the other at the top of the mountain. And what he's seen is not looking good.
By about 2050, at Roundhouse, which is at 1835 meters, 50% of the winters, on average, will be as warm as the winter 2 years ago, which was a very mild winter and really reduced the number of visitors that showed up at Whistler.
According to Pidwerney, in the last 2 decades, Whistler has seen significant frequency of rain and daily temperatures above zero.
We have a challenging environment here. We operate in a high alpine and that presents unique challenges with respect to avalanche control and obviously being in the Pacific Northwest, it's a rainforest. That does mean that we get some variable weather conditions.
Trembath says they're meeting those challenges by investing in equipment to control what they can when it comes to Mother Nature.
And I think the industry generally has been able to address those through snowmaking, and the technology that sits behind that is continuing to evolve all the time. And we also do a lot of snow farming. We put fences up to catch snow, and there are a number of different ways that we work to ensure that we can have a great snow product on the ground for our guests.
Pidwerney believes the effects of climate change could ultimately lead to a change in ticket sales at Whistler.
If they can guarantee that there's going to be good conditions for skiing, people aren't going to buy a season's pass. They're going to buy a day ticket or a week-long pass. So I think that's the way they're going to adapt in terms of ticket sales.
And mountains closer to home like Grouse with less elevation could see the effects of warming even sooner.
They'll be impacted earlier. They're probably about 2040. They're going to see, only half of the winters are good for skiing.
Skiers seeing the impacts of more rain and warm weather events even now.
Yeah, there's definitely more days in January and more days in February that snow is not very good, and the season starts a little later, ends a little earlier. About a week shortened on each end is kind of a
a trend that I've noticed.
Grouse's general manager is aware of future weather challenges and is looking at the future of snowmaking capacities on the mountain.
I'm trying to, kind of build that out. So we're doing kind of a study actually right now in terms of, what we have and what we need in the future to sustain ourselves through the wintertime.
That future means diversifying what is offered on Grouse so people can enjoy the mountain year-round regardless of the weather.
Grouse is set up really well in terms of diversification with winter and summer. Winter is super, super important to us, but our summer offerings really, we couldn't survive without it.
Yeah, hiking, viewing the landscape from high elevation, mountain biking. Grouse has done a pivot. The same pivot is occurring at Whistler.
We certainly are constantly looking at where we're investing on the mountain, and I think we're incredibly fortunate here that we do operate at a high elevation and that we're going to be able to continue to ski for a long time into the future. But we recognise that being able to offer sightseeing experiences and biking and hiking is a really important part of our response to climate change.
As both Whistler and Grouse look ahead to their next major milestones, the activities they celebrate most may change, but their ability to adapt will likely give life to many more years of adventures for those who seek it on these mountains.